The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber slid open with a hiss that echoed through the vast hall. Ji-won Park straightened her formal diplomatic jacket and stepped forward, her boots clicking against the polished crystal floor. Behind her, Hun Kim carried a data tablet containing everything humanity wanted to share with the galaxy. They had practiced this moment 1,000 times, but nothing could prepare them for the reality. The chamber was enormous, easily the size of 10 football stadiums. 47 different species sat in curved rows that spiraled upward into the domed ceiling. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few seemed to be made of living crystal. Ji-won recognized the insectoid ambassador from the videos Earth had received. His compound eyes reflected light in rainbow patterns as he gestured for them to approach the central platform. Representatives of Earth. Thal's voice came through the translation device in Ji-won's ear. You stand before the Galactic Council as petitioners for membership. We welcome you to this assembly. Ji-won bowed respectfully. Han did the same. They had been taught that most species appreciated the gesture of lowering oneself before others. It showed peaceful intent. Thank you, Ambassador, Ji-won replied. Humanity is honored to be here. We come seeking friendship and cooperation with all species represented in this council. A ripple of movement went through the assembly. Some species bobbed their heads. Others made sounds that the translator couldn't interpret. But overall, the mood seemed positive. Earth had spent 2 years exchanging messages with the Council after their first detection. Everything had been friendly so far. Thal consulted a holographic display. Before we proceed with the formal admission process, we must complete the standard registration protocols. Please provide your planet's stellar coordinates and official designation according to your species records. This was routine. Every species had to register their homeworld's location for the Council's navigation database. Ji-won nodded and pulled up the information on her own tablet. Our planet orbits a G-type main sequence star. The coordinates are, she read off the numbers that Earth's astronomers had calculated using the galactic coordinate system the Council had provided. Hyan added supplementary data about Earth's size, gravity, and atmospheric composition. Everything was going perfectly according to plan. Then Talvix asked the next question. And what is your planet's true designation, the ancient catalog number, if your species possesses such records? Ji-won smiled. This was actually exciting. When humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel, they had discovered a strange monument in the Kuiper Belt, far beyond Pluto. It contained star charts that were millions of years old, created by some ancient civilization. Earth scientists had been thrilled to find their own planet marked on those charts. Yes, we found ancient records, Ji-won said proudly. Our planet is designated as Catalog Entry 77492 Alpha in the precursor archives we discovered. She expected interest, maybe some excited chatter about the precursors, whoever they had been. Instead, the entire chamber went silent. It wasn't a polite, attentive silence. It was the kind of silence that follows a gunshot. Every single being in the room had frozen. Even the ones who had been moving stopped mid-gesture. High Archivist Corral, an ancient reptilian being who sat in the uppermost tier, stood up so fast that his chair fell backward. His data tablet slipped from his clawed hands and shattered on the floor far below. The crash was the only sound in the massive room. Repeat those coordinates. Corral's voice was barely a whisper, but the chamber's acoustics carried it perfectly. Repeat the catalog number now. Jan felt Hun tense beside her. Something was very wrong. She carefully repeated the information, checking her tablet to make sure she hadn't made an error. The numbers were correct. Kuril turned to Thal. The two of them stared at each other for a long moment, then touched a control on his podium. Red lights began flashing throughout the chamber. A klaxon sounded 3 times. Ji-won recognized it from the safety briefing they'd received when boarding the station. It was an emergency alert. Lockdown protocols activated, an automated voice announced in dozens of languages. All non-essential personnel, evacuate to safe zones. Council security to the main chamber immediately. Ji-won stepped forward. What's happening? Did we do something wrong? Thalovix looked at her with what might have been fear in his compound eyes. Security Chief Vexitar will escort you to protective custody. You are not under arrest, but you cannot leave until the Council convenes an emergency session. Protective custody. Jan spoke for the first time. Protection from what? 4 armed guards entered the chamber, led by a massive 4-armed being, covered in chitinous armor. Security Chief Vexar approached carefully. his weapons holstered but hands ready. "Please come with us," Vitar said. His voice was surprisingly gentle. "No harm will come to you, but the council must discuss this matter before proceeding." Jiwan wanted to argue to demand answers, but she saw the fear in the eyes of the beings around her. Whatever Earth's catalog number meant, it had terrified the most powerful assembly in the galaxy. She nodded slowly and followed the security chief. As they left the chamber, she heard Coral speaking urgently to the other council members. The translator only caught fragments. "Forbidden designation, the Crucible. It can't be." The doors closed behind them, leaving Jiwan and Hune alone with their guards and 1,000 unanswered questions. The room they were taken to wasn't a prison cell, but it wasn't freedom either. Jiwan paced back and forth across the spacious quarters, while Hune sat at the desk, fingers flying across his tablet. The guards had politely confiscated their communication devices, but left them the tablet, with its downloaded archive of galactic information. "This doesn't make sense," for the 10th time. "We gave them coordinates, just numbers. How can numbers cause a panic?" Hyun didn't look up from his screen. "It's not the numbers themselves, it's what they represent. I'm searching through everything the council gave us during the initial contact period. There has to be something we missed." 3 hours had passed since the incident in the council chamber. No one had come to explain, no one had answered their questions. Through the transparent wall that served as a window, they could see ships arriving at the station in unusual numbers. The normally calm docking area looked chaotic. A sharp knock on the door made them both jump. Jiwan called out permission to enter, and a tall human man in a military uniform stepped inside. Minho Choi, Earth's military attaché, looked furious. Finally, Jiwan said, "Minho, what's going on? Did they contact Earth?" Minho shook his head. "They're blocking all our communications. I was in my quarters when the alert happened. Security Chief Vexar just briefed me. The council has called an emergency session, but they've excluded all Earth representatives." He paused. "They're debating whether to even allow contact with humanity to continue." "What?" Hyun finally looked up. "That's insane. We haven't done anything, haven't we?" Minho pulled up a chair and sat down heavily. "I pushed Vexar for information. He's nervous. Really nervous," he said. "The catalog number you provided matches something in their forbidden archives. Places they're not supposed to talk about, let alone visit." John felt cold. Forbidden? What kind of places? He wouldn't say, but he did let something slip. He called Earth by a different name. He said the Crucible, and then looked like he wanted to bite his own tongue off. Hyun's fingers started moving again. "The Crucible. That's a translation issue. Let me search for similar terms." His eyes widened. "Here, I found a reference in the linguistic database. There's an old word in the primary council language. It means proving ground or testing place. It shows up in historical texts about Han." He trailed off, his face going pale. "About what?" Jiwan demanded. "About planets that are forbidden for colonization. Worlds marked by the precursors as too dangerous for settlement." Un turned the tablet around to show them. "Look at this. It's a fragment from 50,000 years ago. The image is corrupted, but you can make out a planet with blue oceans and green continents, and this symbol next to it." The symbol looked like a circle with crossed lines through it. Beneath it, text had been partially translated. "Do not disturb. Apex Evolution Zone." Minho leaned forward. "Apex Evolution. What does that mean?" "I think," Hun said slowly, "it means Earth was designated as a place where something dangerous was evolving, something the precursors wanted to leave alone." A loud beep came from the door panel. Security Chief Vexar entered without waiting for permission. His forearms were held in a gesture Giwan had learned meant extreme stress. "I should not be here," Vexar said quietly, "but I believe you deserve to know what is being said about your world." He glanced at the door as if expecting someone to stop him. "The Council has accessed the deep archives. Your planet's designation is confirmed. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world." The word meant nothing to Jiwan, but Hune gasped. "Class 12? That's not possible. The briefing material said most Council worlds are Class 1 or 2. Vexar's mandibles clicked together nervously. "Most civilized worlds are Class 1. Gentle gravity, stable climate, minimal predators. Class 2 worlds have some challenges but are still comfortable. My own world is Class 3, and we consider it harsh." He paused. "There are only 3 Class 12 worlds in the known galaxy. They are marked as completely uninhabitable to all known forms of life. But we live there, Jiwan protested. Billions of us. It's our home. Exactly. Vexar said. That is why the Council is afraid. You evolved on a world that should have killed you. Instead, you thrived. You built cities, developed technology, reached the stars. Do you understand what that means? Minho stood up. It means we're survivors. It means you are something the galaxy has never seen before, Vexar corrected. The last species to evolve on a high-class world became the Kravathi. They nearly destroyed the Council 40,000 years ago. It took the combined might of every species to stop them. He looked at each of them in turn. The Kravathi came from a Class 9 world. Yours is rated 3 classes higher. The room fell silent. Jiwan's mind raced. She thought about Earth's history, the struggles humanity had faced, the ice ages, the predators, the diseases, the natural disasters. They had always assumed every planet was like that. But what if it wasn't? What if Earth was special in the worst possible way? There's more. Vexar continued. Ancient galactic law states that contact with worlds bearing certain designations is forbidden without unanimous Council approval. Your world bears the highest level warning. The Council is debating whether continuing contact with humanity violates laws that are older than most of our civilizations. Huan found his voice. What happens if they decide it does violate those laws? Vexar's expression was unreadable behind his alien features. Then, first contact is declared void. All human ships are escorted out of Council space. Earth is quarantined forever. They can't do that, Jiwan said. We have rights. You have the rights the Council grants. Vexar said gently. I am sorry. I must go before my absence is noticed. But I wanted you to know the truth. He turned to leave, then stopped. For what it is worth, I do not believe you are monsters, but I am only one voice among thousands. After he left, the 3 humans sat in stunned silence. Outside the window, more ships continued to arrive, and Jiwan wondered how many of them carried representatives coming to vote on humanity's fate. 2 days after the incident, Jiwan received an unexpected message. High Archivist Kurl himself requested their presence in the archive deep vault. Minho insisted on coming along, and they had also called for Sunwoo Lee, Earth's biologist, who had been waiting on one of humanity's ships during the admission process. The vault was located deep within the station, far below the public areas. The elevator ride took nearly 10 minutes. When the doors opened, Jiwan saw walls lined with data crystals that glowed with soft blue light. Each crystal contained information from civilizations that had risen and fallen over millions of years. Corral waited for them beside a massive display screen. Next to him stood an elderly being whose species Jiwan didn't recognize. The creature looked fragile with translucent skin and large, knowing eyes. This is Elder Kathleen, Corral said. She is 800 years old and has served the Council longer than any living member. She insisted on being present for this conversation. Kathleen's voice was like wind through leaves. I remember when we last found a world with your designation. It was 600 years ago. The discovery nearly tore the Council apart with fear. Fear of what? Sunwoo asked. She had been brought up to speed on the situation, but still seemed skeptical. We're just people. We evolved. We survived. We grew. That's what life does. Corral touched the display, and an image of Earth appeared. It rotated slowly, showing the continents and oceans. Let me explain what a death world truly means. When we classify planets, we measure multiple factors: gravity, atmospheric pressure, temperature variance, tectonic activity, radiation levels, predator density, disease prevalence, and many others. The display split to show 2 planets side by side. One was Earth, the other was a gentle green world with calm seas. This is my home world, Kurl continued. It is a Class 1 world. The gravity is 8 Earth standard. Our largest predator is roughly the size of your house cat. Our weather patterns are stable. Temperatures vary by perhaps 20 degrees across the entire year. We have no volcanic activity, no earthquakes, no hurricanes or tornadoes. He paused. Life on my world is peaceful. Evolution happens slowly through cooperation rather than competition. He touched Earth's image. Your world has gravity 4 times higher than ours. You have predators that can kill you in seconds. Your weather creates storms that flatten entire forests. Your planet's crust splits and shakes, destroying cities. You have deserts that can kill from heat, and poles that kill from cold. You have hundreds of diseases that your immune system must constantly fight. Sun Wu crossed her arms. Yes, Earth is challenging, but we adapted. That's what evolution does. It solves problems. Exactly, Kathleen said softly. You adapted? Do you understand how terrifying that is to us? Most species would have gone extinct facing even one of your planet's challenges. You faced all of them, and became the dominant species anyway. Jiwan frowned. You're afraid because we're good at surviving. Kurl brought up another image. It showed a four-legged creature with massive jaws and powerful legs. This is a recreational animal from your world. You call it a wolf, correct? Yes, Sun Wu said. They're pack hunters, very successful predators in their ecosystem. This animal would be classified as a super predator on 90% of Council worlds, Coral said flatly. It is stronger, faster, and more aggressive than almost anything my species has ever encountered. And on Earth, you hunted them. You domesticated their descendants and made them into pets. The display changed again, showing various Earth animals. Lions, bears, crocodiles, sharks. Each of these would be the apex predator on most worlds. You share your planet with all of them. Minho spoke up. Our ancestors had to be tough to survive, but we're not cavemen anymore. We have civilization, laws, ethics. We've moved past simple survival. Kathleen made a sound like a sigh. Have you? Let me show you something else. She activated another display. These are records from previous attempts to colonize your world. Yes, attempts. The precursors tried to establish research stations on Earth 3 times. All 3 failed. The screen showed text that Yan translated aloud. First expedition, established base camp in temperate zone. Month 1, atmospheric moisture caused equipment failure. Month 2, local microbial life contaminated food supplies despite sterilization protocols. Month 3, unknown disease infected 17 team members. Month 4, base abandoned. Survivors never fully recovered. Second expedition, Kathleen continued. Established underground base to avoid surface conditions. Month 1, seismic activity damaged structural supports. Month 2, subterranean water pressure breached containment. Month 3, base flooded. All hands lost. Third expedition, orbital station only. No surface contact. Month 1, unexpected solar radiation surge damaged life support. Month 2, station declared mission failure and returned home. Jiwan felt a chill. You're saying Earth itself rejected them? I am saying your planet is hostile to life as the Council understands it, Kathleen replied. And yet you are native to it. You were born there. You grew up in conditions that killed trained scientists from an advanced civilization. Sun Wu walked closer to the display showing Earth. What does this mean for us? For humanity? Cal exchanged a look with Kathleen. It means you are the product of the harshest evolutionary pressure we have ever documented. Your bodies had to become incredibly resilient just to survive childhood on your world. You have redundant organs. Your bones are dense enough to support high gravity. Your immune system is aggressive enough to fight off diseases that would devastate our populations. He pulled up medical data. We scanned the biological information you provided during initial contact. A human can survive without food for weeks, without water for days. You can endure temperature extremes that would kill most of us in minutes. Your body has a built-in combat drug called adrenaline that increases your strength and speed when threatened. You heal from injuries that would be permanently crippling to my species. You also, Kathleen added quietly, descended from persistence hunters. Your ancestors would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. You can run for hours without stopping. Most council species can barely run for minutes before our bodies give out. The room fell silent. Jiwan looked at her own hands as if seeing them for the first time. She had never thought of herself as particularly strong or dangerous. She was a diplomat, someone who solved problems with words. But the way these ancient beings looked at her made her feel like a weapon that had walked into a peace conference. So what happens now? Minho asked. Karal's expression was grave. Now the council must decide if they can trust a species born from a world that forges survivors into something more. The Council Historical Museum was normally closed to non-members, but special permission had been granted for the human delegation to access the war archives. Minho led the group this time with Jiwan and Dion Han, Earth's historian, following close behind. They had been told that understanding the galaxy's military history would help them understand the Council's fears. Their guide was war scholar Tixall, a tall being with 6 limbs and smooth gray skin. Despite the title, Tixall explained that he was not a soldier, but a researcher who studied the history of conflict across civilizations. The Council has been at peace for 12,000 years, Tixall said as they walked through halls filled with ancient weapons and armor. We achieved this through cooperation, trade agreements, and mutual defense pacts. War is something we study only to ensure it never happens again. Dion examined a display case containing what looked like ceremonial blades. Every civilization has conflict in its past. How is humanity different? Tixall stopped at a large display, showing a timeline of galactic history. Most species fight over resources or territory. These conflicts end when one side has what it wants, or when the cost becomes too high. But there have been 3 species in known history who fought differently, who seemed to be evolved for warfare itself. He highlighted 3 sections of the timeline. The first were the Kulthan. They came from a Class 7 world with high gravity and aggressive fauna. They were naturally strong and had excellent tactical minds. When they reached space, they conquered 14 systems before the Council could organize a defense. What happened to them? Minho asked. They were not destroyed, Tixall said carefully. They were integrated. The Council offered them a choice: join us as equals or face total war. They chose peace. Today, the Kulans serve as security advisors and peacekeepers. They channel their competitive nature into sports and protective roles. He moved to the second highlight. The second were the Kravathi from a Class 9 world. They were even more formidable, fast, strong, aggressive, and numerous. They believed that strength gave them the right to rule. The war lasted 300 years and cost billions of lives across dozens of species. And they chose peace too? Jiwan asked hopefully. Tixall's expression darkened. No, they refused every offer of negotiation. In the end, the Council had no choice. We destroyed their ability to wage war. We dismantled their industry, scattered their military, and placed their worlds under permanent monitoring. It was the Council's darkest moment, but the alternative was the extinction of multiple species. You said there were 3 species, Diyun noted. Who was the third? You are, Tixall said simply, based on your world's classification and the preliminary data we have gathered. Before anyone could respond, a door at the far end of the museum opened. Commander Yuna O entered, with 2 other officers from Earth's defense fleet. She had been summoned to the station when the crisis began. Commander Minho greeted her with obvious relief. What's the situation? Yuna looked tired. The Council has been examining our military history. Every war, every conflict, every battle humanity has ever fought. They're building a profile of us as a species. She turned to Tixall. They asked me to come here for a practical demonstration. They want to see how a human soldier compares to Council standards. Tixall gestured toward a doorway. We have a training facility attached to the museum. It is used to test historical combat techniques and equipment. If you are willing, Commander, it would be educational for all of us. The facility was a large open space with padded floors and various equipment along the walls. A group of Council observers had already gathered in a viewing area above. Jiwan recognized several high-ranking officials. What kind of demonstration? Yuna asked wearily. Nothing dangerous, Tixall assured her. We have combat drones programmed to Council military standards. They are used for training security personnel. I would like to see how you perform against one in a simulated combat scenario. Hand-to-hand only. No weapons. Yuna considered this. Just to be clear, I'm not here to show off. I'm a commander, not our best fighter. But if it helps the Council understand us, I'll do it. A drone emerged from a storage bay. It was humanoid in shape, about 2 meters tall, with articulated limbs and sensors where a head would be. Tixall explained that it was programmed with techniques from multiple species and could adapt to different fighting styles. The drone is set to medium difficulty, Tixall said. It represents a trained Council security officer. You may begin when ready. Yuna rolled her shoulders and stepped onto the mat. The drone moved forward with smooth, calculated steps. It struck first, a fast jab aimed at Yuna's center mass. She sidestepped easily and countered with a palm strike to the drone's sensor array. It staggered back. When watching Council members leaned forward, the drone reset and came at Yuna again, faster this time. It launched a combination of strikes that would have overwhelmed most opponents. Yuna blocked 2, dodged 1, and took the 4th on her shoulder. It barely fazed her. She grabbed the drone's arm, twisted, and used its own momentum to throw it to the ground. Increased difficulty to high, one of the observers called out. The drone stood up, its movements now much faster. It attacked with techniques that blurred together. Yuna actually had to work now. She blocked, dodged, and counterattacked with precision. The fight lasted nearly a minute before Yuna found an opening and delivered a kick that sent the drone sliding across the floor. Maximum difficulty, someone else called. Tixel looked concerned. That setting is designed for Colden warriors. It may be too much. Yuna was breathing harder, but smiled. I can handle it. The drone came at her like a machine possessed. Its strikes were faster than the human eye could easily track. Yuna took several hits that would have broken bones in most species. She grimaced, but didn't go down. Instead, she adapted her strategy using the environment and the drone's own aggression against it. She was clearly outmatched in speed, but her endurance and ability to take damage kept her in the fight. Finally, the drone's programming found a weakness and swept Yuna's legs. She hit the ground hard. The drone's fist came down toward her face, but stopped a centimeter away, indicating a winning blow. Yuna lay there for a moment, then started laughing. Okay, that thing is tough. Good match. The council observers were silent. Tixol helped Yuna to her feet. Commander, you lasted 40 seconds against a drone on maximum difficulty. The average council security officer lasts 6 seconds. A trained Colven warrior averages 20 seconds. Yuna shrugged. I'm sure I just got lucky. You absorbed 17 strikes. That would have incapacitated any species I know, Tixol said quietly. And you were holding back. I could see it. You pulled every offensive strike to avoid damaging the drone. Of course I did, Yuna said. It's expensive equipment. I wasn't trying to break it. That's when Jiwan understood the real problem. Yuna had fought a machine designed to represent the council's best warriors, and had performed remarkably, but she had done it while consciously limiting her own strength to avoid causing damage. The council wasn't just seeing human capability. They were seeing human restraint, and they didn't know which one frightened them more. The council medical research facility was a pristine environment of white surfaces and soft lighting. Dr. Yunji Bei stood in the center of an examination room, trying not to feel like a laboratory specimen. Around her, a dozen alien scientists monitored displays showing data from the medical scans she had agreed to undergo. Chief Physician Ralvin, a thin being with delicate limbs and large eyes, reviewed the results with visible distress. Next to him, Sun Wu Li watched carefully, ready to advocate for humanity if needed. This cannot be correct, Ralvin muttered, running the scans again. The readings must be corrupted. They're not corrupted, Yunji said calmly. That's just how humans are built. Bioethics Director Silta, a being who resembled a large flower with crystalline petals, leaned closer to examine the bone density scans. Dr. BK, according to these results, your skeletal structure could withstand impacts that would shatter my entire body. Your bones are nearly 3 times as dense as any council species. We evolved on a high-gravity world, Sun Wu explained. Our bones had to be strong to support our weight. It's basic evolutionary adaptation. There is nothing basic about this, Ralvin said, bringing up new images. Look at this. Humans have redundant organs. 2 kidneys, 2 lungs, a liver that can regenerate if damaged. Your hearts have 4 chambers and can continue beating even if severely damaged. You can survive with only half your brain functional. Yunji had heard these facts before, but hearing the fear in Ralvin's voice made them sound different, threatening somehow. Let me show you something else, Ralvin continued, pulling up comparative data. This is a common cold virus from your world. It is similar to a respiratory infection we occasionally see in council species. For us, it has a mortality rate of nearly 40%. For humans, it is considered a minor inconvenience. Our immune systems are very effective, Yunji agreed. Effective? Silth's petals rustled in agitation. Dr. Bei, your immune system is what we would classify as hyper-aggressive. It attacks foreign substances with such ferocity that it often damages your own tissues in the process. We call that an autoimmune disorder. You call it normal function. Ralvin brought up more data. And this is your digestive system. Your stomach acid has a pH level of 1.5. That is strong enough to dissolve metal. You can consume substances that would be toxic to almost any council species, and your liver simply processes them and expels the waste. Hyan, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, spoke up. "You're describing us like we're monsters. We're just adapted to our environment." "I understand that," Ralvin said, his tone softening slightly. "But you must understand our perspective. We have analyzed the biological samples you provided. Humans carry bacteria in your digestive system that would cause deadly infections in most species. Your skin is covered in microorganisms. You live in a constant state of what we would consider biological warfare, and your body is treated as normal." Yunji stepped down from the scanning platform. "What about the adrenaline? I heard someone mention it during the archives tour." Ralvin looked at Sela, who gestured for him to continue. "Yes, adrenaline. This is perhaps the most concerning discovery. Humans produce a natural combat stimulant when stressed or threatened. It increases heart rate, dilates blood vessels, speeds up reflexes, and temporarily enhances strength. It even suppresses pain signals. It's a survival mechanism," Sunu said, fight-or-flight response. "Lots of Earth animals have similar systems. No council species has anything comparable," Sela said firmly. "The idea of a biological system that enhances combat capability is disturbing to us. It suggests evolution shaped you for conflict or survival," Yunji countered. "Earth is dangerous. We needed every advantage we could get." Ralvin activated another display. "We conducted a stress test with one of your military personnel earlier, with full consent and monitoring. When exposed to a simulated threat scenario, we observed the adrenaline response. Within seconds, his heart rate increased by 40%. His reaction time improved by 30%. His strength output increased by 25%. He reported feeling no fear, only focus and energy. And when the test ended, Hyan asked. He returned to baseline within minutes, Ralvin said. No lasting effects, no crash. He was ready to do it again immediately. The physician paused. Do you understand what that means? Your species can switch into a combat-ready state at will, and then switch back with no consequences. It is like having a berserker mode built into your biology. The room fell silent. Yunji had never thought of adrenaline that way. It was just something that happened when you got scared or excited. Everyone experienced it. But everyone wasn't human. Everyone else came from gentle worlds, where evolution didn't demand such extreme adaptations. There's more, Sela said reluctantly. We analyzed your capacity for physical exertion. Humans can maintain activity for extended periods. That would be impossible for us. Your cardiovascular system is extraordinarily efficient. We have records of humans running for hours, even days in some cases, without stopping. Marathon running, Sun Wu said. It's a popular sport on Earth. It would be considered a form of torture on most council worlds, Ralvin replied. The fact that you do it for recreation is incomprehensible to us. Yunji crossed her arms. So what you're saying is that humans are too tough, too resilient, and too good at surviving, and that makes us dangerous. Not dangerous, Sela corrected gently. Potentially overwhelming. We are soft species, Dr. Bike. We evolved through cooperation and harmony with our environments. The idea of a species that evolved through constant challenge and conflict is genuinely frightening to us. We're not trying to frighten you, Yunji said. We just want to join the galactic community. We want to learn, to share, to be part of something bigger than ourselves. I believe you, Ralvin said. But belief is not enough for the Council. They need assurance that humanity's biological advantages will not be used against other species. They need to know that your natural aggression can be controlled. We're not aggressive, Hyan protested. Ralvin brought up historical data from Earth's transmissions. You have had 2 conflicts you call world wars. Hundreds of smaller wars. Your current crime rates involve violence that would be considered extreme on any council world. Your entertainment includes simulated combat, competitive fighting, and stories of conflict. We also have art, music, philosophy, and science, Yunji said firmly. We have love and compassion, and the desire for peace. Yes, we have conflict in our past, but we're growing beyond it. That's why we reached for the stars. Silta's petals turned a softer color. I hope you are right, Dr. Bay. For all our sakes, I truly hope you are right. The emergency council session was held in the largest assembly hall on the station. Every member species had sent representatives, and the gallery was packed with observers. Jiwan stood at the center platform with Hun, while Jian Song, Earth's legal representative, waited nearby with stacks of documents and data files. Ambassador Thalvix called the session to order. We gathered to decide the fate of Earth's petition for council membership. 3 proposals have been submitted. We will hear arguments for each before voting. A being made of shifting light patterns rose from the center section. I am Neutral Orbiter Velk, representing the Archive Worlds. I will present the 3 options. First, accept Earth immediately with full membership rights. Second, place Earth under quarantine and suspend all contact indefinitely. Third, allow limited contact with strict monitoring and restrictions on human activities. Another figure stood up from the opposition section. Opposition leader Kexnar was a large armored being who radiated authority. I speak for those who believe Earth represents an unacceptable risk. We have heard the evidence. Humans evolved on the harshest world ever documented. They are biologically superior to nearly every council species in strength, endurance, and resilience. Their history is soaked in blood and violence. We would be fools to welcome such a species into our midst. Jiwan felt anger rising, but forced herself to remain calm. This was a political battle, and losing her temper would only prove their point. Kexnar continued. The precursors marked their world as forbidden, for good reason. We should honor that ancient wisdom and maintain the quarantine. Earth should be isolated, until we can be certain humanity will not become the next Kravathi. Ambassador Thalvix gestured to Jiwan. The human delegation may respond. Jiwan stepped forward. Opposition leader Sexnar speaks of our history as if it condemns us. Yes, humanity has fought wars. Yes, we have conflict in our past. But we also have peace treaties, international cooperation, and a unified world government that has maintained stability for 60 years. We learned from our mistakes and grew beyond them. 60 years? Kexar scoffed. That is nothing, a blink of an eye. How can we trust that your peace will last? John moved to Juyan's side. If I may address the legal aspects, many council species have violent histories. The Venturi had clan wars for 3,000 years before unification. The Morpheus Collective engaged in genetic warfare that nearly destroyed their biosphere. The Telkara hunted their own subspecies to extinction before developing ethical frameworks. Yet all these species are respected council members. Those conflicts happened millions of years ago, Kexnar argued. Humanity's last major war ended barely 2 centuries ago by your own calendar. Because we're young, Han interjected. We developed space travel faster than most species because we had to. Earth is harsh, remember? We adapted quickly or died. That same drive pushed us to the stars, but it also taught us the value of cooperation. Humans survive best when we work together. A smaller being stood up from the moderate section. I am Representative Driss of the engineering guilds. I propose the 3rd option. Allow humans to join, but with restrictions. Monitor their activities. Limit their military development. Give them time to prove themselves trustworthy. Jiwan shook her head. We cannot accept membership with restrictions that don't apply to other species. That isn't equality. That's prejudice, based on our biology. It is caution based on evidence, Kexar snapped. You ask us to trust you, but trust must be earned. Then let us earn it, Jan said. Give us a chance to show you who we really are. Not the monsters you fear, but the people we've become. Thalvix raised a manipulator for silence. Opposition leader Kexnar. You have called for a demonstration of human restraint. Do you have a specific test in mind? Kexnar's expression was hard to read, but his tone was clear. Yes, I want to see a human face a real challenge. Not a training drone, but an actual combat scenario. If they can show true restraint under pressure, perhaps my concerns will be eased. Minho, who had been standing in the observer section, stepped forward. I volunteer. What did you have in mind? Kexar gestured to a security drone that emerged from a side panel. This is a standard peacekeeping unit. It is armed with non-lethal weapons and programmed for riot suppression. It will attempt to subdue you using the same protocols we use on violent criminals. You will defend yourself without weapons. If you can resist without causing excessive damage to the drone, it will demonstrate your species' capacity for measured response. And if I fail, Minho asked, then we will have proof that humans cannot control their aggressive instincts. Jijuan wanted to object, but Minho was already moving to the demonstration area. The drone activated, its weapon systems powering up. It fired a stun net that Minho rolled under. He closed distance quickly, using tactics Jiwan recognized from military training. The drone switched to shock batons, swinging them in rapid patterns. Minho blocked with his forearms, taking hits that made council observers gasp. But he didn't go down. He grabbed one baton, twisted it away from the drone, and then paused. The drone was vulnerable. Minho could have destroyed it easily. Everyone watching knew it. Instead, he carefully maneuvered the drone into a hold that immobilized it without causing damage. He held it there for 5 seconds, then released it and stepped back. Satisfied? Minho asked, breathing hard but controlled. The gallery was silent. Even Kexnar seemed taken aback. Elder Kathleen rose from her seat, her ancient voice carrying through the chamber. I have lived 800 years. I have seen many species join this council. Never have I seen a demonstration of such controlled power. The human could have destroyed that drone in seconds. Instead, he chose restraint. He chose not to cause unnecessary harm even when being attacked. One demonstration proves nothing, Kexar argued, but his voice had lost its certainty. Then let us vote, Talvik said. All in favor of immediate acceptance of Earth into the Council. Indicate now. Lights began appearing on the voting display. Jan held her breath as the count climbed. 20 votes. 30. 35. All in favor of permanent quarantine. 6 lights appeared. Kexnar and his closest allies. All in favor of restricted membership. 2 lights. The abstentions. Talvix announced the results. With 39 votes in favor, 6 opposed, and 2 abstaining, the Council accepts Earth as a full member species, with all rights and privileges thereof. The gallery erupted in mixed reactions. Some cheered, others looked concerned, but the decision was made. Jiwan felt relief wash over her, followed quickly by the weight of responsibility. Humanity had been accepted, but they would be watched closely. Every action would be judged. They would have to prove themselves worthy of the trust they had just been given. As the session adjourned, Elder Kathleen approached Jiwan. You have won today, young diplomat. But remember, this is only the beginning. The real challenge is showing the galaxy that humans can be both strong and kind, both fierce and gentle. That is the balance your species must maintain. Jiwan nodded. Well, do our best. I know you will, Kathleen said softly. That is why I voted yes. 3 weeks after Earth's acceptance into the Council, a scout ship detected an anomaly in Earth's solar system. It was a structure hidden in the asteroid belt, protected by stealth technology so advanced that humanity had passed by it dozens of times without noticing. When the Council sent a research team to investigate, they found something that would change everything. Jiwan stood with the research team outside a massive facility that seemed to be built into a large asteroid. The structure was millions of years old, yet its systems still functioned. Precursor technology, more intact than anything ever discovered. This is incredible, Dian Kang, Earth's astrophysicist, said as he examined the entrance. The power signature suggests it's been in standby mode for eons, waiting for something to activate it. High Archivist Quirrell approached the entrance cautiously. The activation occurred when human ships entered this sector. The facility recognized something, recognized you. The doors opened silently, revealing corridors lit by soft blue light. The team moved inside carefully. Hyan recorded everything with scanning equipment, while Yunji took biological samples from the walls. Every surface was covered in writing and diagrams. Can you read any of this? Jiwan asked. Yan nodded slowly. Some of it. The precursor language is similar to the ancient texts we found in the archives. This section talks about planetary development. This one mentions genetic engineering. And this, he paused, his face going pale. This one talks about creating guardian species. They found the central chamber at the heart of the facility. It was a vast room, with a holographic display in the center, showing the Milky Way galaxy. Planets were marked with different colored symbols. Earth glowed with bright gold. Elder Kathleen touched a control panel, and the display activated. A hologram appeared, showing a being that looked remarkably similar to humans, tall bipedal with 2 arms and a recognizable face. Greetings, the hologram said, in a language that the translation devices rendered into every listener's native tongue. If you are viewing this message, then one of 2 things has occurred. Either the Crucible has succeeded, and the Guardian species has emerged, or the Crucible has failed, and you have discovered this facility by chance. I hope for the sake of all life in this galaxy, that it is the former. The hologram gestured, and images appeared around it. Planets being seeded with life, civilizations rising and falling, and dark shapes moving through space. We are the precursors, the first civilization to achieve faster-than-light travel in this galaxy. We explored, we built, we thrived, but we also discovered threats. Things that exist in the dark spaces between stars, entities that consume life and light. We fought them for 10,000 years, and we learned something terrible. We were too soft, too gentle. Our evolution had made us wise, but not strong. We could not defeat the darkness. Jiwan felt chills run down her spine. The hologram continued. So, we decided to create what we could not be. We found worlds with harsh conditions and seeded them with life designed to struggle, to adapt, to become strong through adversity. We created crucibles, places where evolution would be forced to produce survivors, warriors born from necessity, not cruelty. The display showed Earth forming, life emerging from the oceans, and species competing for survival. This world, the one you call Earth, is our finest work. We adjusted the gravity to build strength. We varied the climate to encourage adaptability. We introduced challenges that would forge resilience. Every aspect of this planet was designed to create a species capable of protecting the galaxy when we could not. You created us, Yunji whispered. Humanity is artificial. No, the hologram said, as if responding to her question. You are not artificial. We simply set the stage. Evolution did the rest. The specific form you would take, the culture you would develop, the choices you would make, all of that was yours alone. We created the crucible, but you created yourselves. Du pointed to data streaming across the display. According to this, there were other crucibles, dozens of them. What happened to them? The hologram's expression saddened. Most failed. The conditions were too harsh, and life never took hold. Some succeeded partially, but the species that emerged destroyed themselves before reaching space. A few produced strong species that became conquerors rather than protectors. We had to intervene. The Kravati, Coral said quietly. They were a crucible species. Yes, they were strong and fierce, but they lacked compassion. We made mistakes in their design. When they threatened the younger species, we had no choice but to help the Council contain them. The hologram turned to face the humans directly. But you are different. You evolved strength and compassion in equal measure. You learned cooperation without losing your edge. You reached for the stars not to conquer but to explore. You are what we hope to create. Protectors, guardians, the shield that will stand between the soft species and the darkness. Images appeared showing distant regions of space where strange anomalies existed. Dark zones where ships disappeared and stars went silent. The threats we fought still exist. They move slowly, but they move. In approximately 500 years, they will reach Council space. The soft species cannot stand against them. They need you. The galaxy needs you. Jiwan stepped forward. Why didn't you just tell the Council this? Why make them fear us? Because fear is honest, the hologram replied. If we had told them you were designed to protect them, they might have tried to control you, to turn you into weapons. We needed them to meet you as equals first, to see your strength and your restraint, to choose to trust you rather than command you. The display shifted to show a choice prompt. You stand at a crossroads. You can accept the role we designed for you, or you can reject it. The choice is yours. We gave you purpose, but we also gave you free will. Use it wisely. Haiyan looked at Jishuan. What do we do? Jishuan thought about everything they had learned about Earth's harsh conditions, humanity's resilience, and the fear in the Council's eyes. She thought about the choice they had been given, and the responsibility that came with it. We tell the Council everything, she said finally. We show them this facility, this message, all of it. Then we let them decide if they want our help. Not because we were designed to protect them, but because it's the right thing to do. Elder Kathleen placed a gentle hand on Giwan's shoulder. Spoken like a true guardian, the precursors chose well. 6 months later, the first joint Human Council military training facility opened on a neutral world. Human soldiers worked alongside Kulthan warriors and Council security forces, learning from each other. Cultural exchange programs brought humans to dozens of worlds and aliens to Earth. Jiwan stood on the observation deck of the new facility, watching humans and aliens practice together. Minho led a mixed squad through tactical exercises. Yunji worked with Council physicians to develop cross-species medicine. Han taught xenolinguistics to eager students from a dozen civilizations. The reports from deep space grew more concerning each month. Strange signals, missing ships, dark zones expanding. The threats the precursors had warned about were real and moving closer. But the galaxy was no longer unprepared. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, not as conquerors or weapons, but as partners and protectors. The Crucible had done its work, forging a species strong enough to stand against the darkness, yet wise enough to choose compassion. Yuna joined Giwan at the window. Doyan's team detected another anomaly this morning. Looks like the same signature as the others. Whatever's out there, it's getting more active. Giwan nodded. Then we'd better be ready. We will be, Yuna said confidently. We're not alone anymore. We have allies now. Friends. Through the window, they watched a human instructor helping a young alien student through a difficult training exercise. The student succeeded, and the human offered congratulations with genuine warmth. It was a small moment, but it represented everything humanity had fought to achieve. The precursors designed us to be protectors, Jiwan said softly. But we became more than that. We became part of something bigger, a community, a family. Yuna smiled. Yeah, and families protect each other. In the distance, stars glittered against the black of space. Somewhere out there, ancient threats moved through the darkness. But they would find no easy prey. They would find a galaxy united, protected by species that had learned to stand together. The Crucible had forged its warriors. Now those warriors stood ready, not for conquest, but for the defense of all life. Humanity had been tested by Earth's harsh conditions and emerged stronger. Now they would be tested by the galaxy itself, and they were ready.